Pleasant afternoon, everyone. My name is Duraisamy Saravana Kumar. I'm the Director, Graduate Studies and Research. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this panel discussion on developing your research identity as an early career researcher, which is being delivered under the Professorial Mentorship Caucus. Of course, the Professorial Mentorship Caucus is the brainchild of our principal, where professors as senior academic members of the staff to share their knowledge, experience, and vision for the benefit of our researchers and improve the overall research productivity of the campus through various engagements. One such engagement is happening today with our early career researchers, where we would like our professors to share their experience and give tips for developing research identity, how we want to be recognized in our academic profession. Maybe a biotechnologist or AI expert, economist or geneticist, more and more. Again, we need to ask ourselves the research identity that we wish to develop. Does it align with the critical needs of the society? Does it align with the critical needs of the country and region? Are they relevant, impactful, and significant to address our stakeholder needs? In the era of multidisciplinary research, how do we align ourselves in the early career of our research? To kindle our thoughts, we have two of our very experienced professors with us today to share their profound experiences. One is Professor Pathmanathan Umaharan. The other one is Professor Kitphoi Pan. I'm asking my colleagues from the Graduate Studies and Research to share the agenda for the panel discussion. First, we are going to hear from our experienced Professor Umaharan. Then we are going to hear from Professor Kitphoi Pan. Before that, I would like to introduce Prof. Uma, though he doesn't require introduction. He is known across the region. Of course, he is an international personality and the well-renowned researcher in the field of cocoa. Professor Umaharan is currently the director of the Cocoa Research Center at the University of the West Indies, St Augustine Campus. He is also professor of genetics. He has served for over 35 years, having joined the university teaching staff in 1991 after completing his PhD from the UWI in 1990. He later undertook a postdoctoral fellowship at the Scripps Research Institute, California, and was then promoted to senior lecturer in 1999 and professor in 2008. Professor Umaharan has authored numerous publications, and his excellence in teaching and research has been recognized with the UWI Guardian Life Premium Teaching Award in 2002, the Principal's Best Researcher Award in 2003, and the Cordy Certificate of Excellence in Research 2005. He was also the recipient of the 2012 World Intellectual Property Organization Award for Best Inventor and the UWI Vice Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Research in 2012-2013. In 2023, he was bestowed with the highest honor of the country, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. That's the highest order ever of honor that our researcher can receive. And this could say his specialization as well as his commitment to research. He has done his PhD at the University of the West Indies. Therefore, it is more relevant to hear from his perspectives because he has developed his own research, his agenda within his specialization, it would be appropriate to hear from him. Without further ado, I invite Prof. Uma to share his experience. Then after that, I will introduce Prof. Pun, and then he will share his experience. After that, we will be going into the question and answer session. When you have some questions to Prof. Uma while he is doing his presentation, please post it in the chat box. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you for your introduction, Professor Sarah. Okay, it's a pleasure really to be speaking to young researchers who are actually establishing your career at the University of the West Indies. So I will just start by saying, looking at my career starting in 1991. When I started, I just finished my PhD and I started my work. And my area of research was genetics. So I started working on genetic improvement, which was part of my PhD work. And so I found a lot of interest in it. So I started working on Caribbean problems, right? So always I tell early researchers when they start, they need to identify with something greater than what they are, because you need to aspire to become the best in your area. And so that's how mine started, because I had a very keen interest, because at the time agriculture was facing a lot of problems around the Caribbean as a whole, but in Trinidad in particular. So I was looking at, I started looking at, my PhD work was on working on cowpea against two major diseases. One was a virus disease, and then the other one was a disease, it's a fungal disease. And I was saying that these are the two devastating diseases in cowpea, and if I can overcome that problem, then farmers don't need to use chemicals to overcome it. So that's where I started my passion. The research that I did was in the genetic, understanding the genetics of these resistance to these diseases. But then very quickly I said, the understanding the resistance doesn't mean anything to farmers. So I wanted to really develop varieties. So as soon as I got my job, I also started working on breeding for resistance to these two diseases, and at the end of it all, we had some really good varieties of black-eyed pea varieties and Bodhi varieties that we released to farmers, and so on. So that's how and once you get the confidence as an early researcher, that helps you to expand into other areas that are even more of a problem, right? So I think always you need to identify where you want to be. So eventually, I think to really start up your career, you need to really identify the linkage between your research that you are doing and what is it to the development of the country, right? So if you really have that understanding very early on, your research would become a lot more focused. And therefore, not only is your research, but you're building a research group around you with graduate students. And so therefore, all their research will become meaningful. So when I started as a researcher, as a single person, you would not be able to achieve a lot as a researcher because it's only you to do the work. And as most of you all know, that when the semester starts, you are very much involved in teaching and correcting papers, and working with students, looking at doing tutorials, doing in-course exams and marking them and so on. But so as a researcher, only during the summertime is when you can really embark on your own research. But when you have a research group of students around you and you can mentor them and also stimulate them around a vision that you have created, and that is your responsibility as a lead researcher to create that vision. And once you have created that, then you can bring the people together and then you can achieve this. So very often when you have graduate students, you need to bring resources to bear, right? So as you know, that the university often has very limited resources to expand your research. So it's your responsibility to start writing research grants and obtaining funding. It's a learning process. When you start, you'll probably write a lot of research grants, but you won't be winning much. But over the years, you will become much more successful as a researcher in getting grants. And once you get the grants and you start nurturing students around you, then what your identity that you have created as a researcher is now is much bigger than what you have actually envisioned at the start. So that's one of the, often I say that one of the important things is and very often researchers, in many cases, when you start your research career, you want to get publications to get promoted, right? In a promotion, assessment and promotion, and very often you try to do bits and pieces research here and there. And often that gives you the promotions, but you really haven't built your identity as a researcher. You are respected only when you really create a focused approach and you create an identity around you so that, people now seek your advice in various things, and that makes you much more valuable to not only the university, but the entire society as a whole. So when you are doing publications again, to build your identity, you need to really look at very carefully where you are publishing. And because very often the where you publish and how much of citations you get also helps you with respect to expanding your identity, right? So usually when you go into Google and you look at your H index, it might tell you as a whole how your career has been going in terms of your publications, your citations that you got, and so on. So from young, I would say that, in my case, I really decided to really look at journals and publish only maybe about 10 years after, because at the early stage, you are just publishing in any journal you wanted. But if you really want to build your identity, you start with journals with good impact factor. And then your research itself has to be interesting enough for the wider audience so that they start citing you. And more citations you get for your research, your H index gets better. And as a result, you are better known, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but internationally as well. And so I think, and also it's communicating your results. Very often researchers stay inside the university and they do their research, they publish, their heads down and they do the work, but the general society doesn't know about it. So how do you communicate that result? How do you link your research with the developmental objectives of the country so that people realize that your work that you are doing is not really in isolation? It helps to build an industry, and therefore it becomes much more relevant and is much more rewarding to you, right? So that's another area that, so as an early researcher, you need to build confidence in yourself, right? Confidence as a researcher comes from maybe by doing a postdoc. Some of them will go and do a postdoc abroad. And it sort of widens because when you are working in UWI, I got my PhD in UWI, and you are very good at a particular discipline, but you don't have the wider angle view of your discipline, right? So when you go abroad and you interact with other researchers in your field, then you realize that, you broaden your field. I was very fortunate because I have, after I finished my PhD, and I started working at UWI. After a few years, I applied for a postdoc, and I was at the Scripps Research Institute in California. And it was a very vibrant research institute working on cutting-edge problems around the world, and with hundreds of researchers working on different problems, where money was never a problem in research. And the first day I went into the research group, the principal investigator very clearly said that there's no restrictions here, no problems in resources, no problems in getting any chemical or equipment you need. and so on. So the sky is the limit. I want you all to work and there's no restriction. So working in an environment like that helps you to expand your vision. Within a couple of years, working in a situation like that helps you to really understand where the global research is going and where you are and so on. And so that's another thing that I think if you have an opportunity to go abroad and do a postdoc, I think it's very, very useful to expand particularly if you have done your PhD in one country, it's better to go to another country to experience how things are and so on. And also it helps you to widen your view. And another thing that I want to elaborate is interdisciplinary research. Development never happens in your specific area that you are working on. You are very good at what you are doing, but if you want to really, your research to have a developmental impact, you should realize very quickly that you need to interact with other researchers, sometimes in totally different disciplines, sometimes in engineering. I have relationships in engineering, working in chemistry, working in persons who are working in social sciences, because sometimes if you want to have your research to have an impact, you need to have that interdisciplinary ability aspect of it. And I think that earlier you start working with other researchers and being able to bring the vision to fruition, I think that will help you to expand your career. So I think that's my initial things, and I will leave it to Dr. Poon now to talk about his experience, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Prof. It's really insightful to hear from you. Based on your experience, you said that multidisciplinary research as well as collaboration with international universities and agencies, how that would be useful to build the early career research as well as the identity, which is very key for all researchers, right? Though the resources as well as the scenarios would have been changed with respect to funding as well as visiting some international universities. And you mentioned with respect to the funding that you did not have any challenge or constraint during that time, but at the same time we may have some challenges now. Of course, we will come back to that discussion at the end of the presentation from our next professor, Kitphai Pun. Professor Pun, he's a respected academic and industry leader with more than 20 years of service at the University of the West Indies St Augustine Campus. He joined the UWI in 2001 and advanced from senior lecturer to full professor of industrial engineering in 2004. He also leads the industrial engineering research group at the Faculty of Engineering. Before joining the UWI, Professor Pun spent 15 years in Hong Kong and the United Kingdom as an operations executive, researcher, engineer, and consultant. Professor Pun has authored more than 250 publications, is a lot, and led 17 funded research projects. He has received numerous honors and awards, including the Vice Chancellor's Award for Excellence, the 2021 Association of Professional Engineers of Trinidad and Tobago's Career of Excellence in Engineering Award, and Trinidad and Tobago's 2022 National Hummingbird Medal Gold Award. So you could see both of our professors, they have received honors from the national awards. It is really, very, very important. And we could also realize how the University of the West Indies is contributing to the national development through research, which is very key and which should inspire all our youngsters who join this panel discussion today. His mentorship continues to inspire early career researchers in developing strong and impactful research identities. With this few introduction highlights, I invite Prof. Pun to share his perspectives as well as experience with our early career researchers. Over to you, Prof. Pun.
Okay, thank you, Professor Kumar. Yes, everyone, good afternoon. Before I actually speak, let me share with you the PowerPoint I prepare. Okay, colleagues, can you view the PowerPoint? Yes or not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm seeing the PDF file, Prof. If you go to the next slide, probably I could
Okay, can you view this? Can you view it? I just would like to double make sure everyone can view my PowerPoint.
Yes, seeing it. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Excellent. You may find that this is in my memory, this is the second series. We have the ones maybe last couple years. This I consider this professional mentorship Caucus series is very important. From this banner, you may find that we have 3 speakers, including our chair, Professor UWI St Augustine, as well as one professor just finished his sharing, Professor Pathmanathan, Umaharan. You may find that what exactly the similarity or the difference among myself, my name's Kip Phaipoon. You may find that our 2 distinguished professors, their names are quite lengthy. My name is a bit short, am I right? But today we talk about development your research identity as an early career researcher. I just would like to point it out. No matter your name is long name or short name will not affect you to develop your research identity. So you may find that from the schedule, I'm in the agenda, I am the 3rd item. So you may find that the title, I add 1 subtitle. Developing your research identity as an early career researcher at the UWI and elsewhere. So at the start, I just would like to ask, what is identity? You may have already have clear idea what is identity is. I simply give you some idea, the fact of being who or what a person or a thing is that we call it identity. So what identity is a big thing. What do you think? This picture, can you recognize the building? Can you recognize something about us, UWI? If you add a logo, UWI, that can link up the identity about UWI. So if you want to know more, visit our website. Here, give you more full picture about identity about UWI. That is what we refer the concept identity. University lead identity. Individual researcher also lead identity. So come to further. Our university couple years ago just celebrated the 75 anniversary. If you want to know more, you can click into that link. You will know much more about the identity of the UWI. And last year, our Vice Chancellor report also shared some statistics. From this slide, you can see that 39% from TNT, 31% from Jamaica, 12% from Barbados. Those are 3 most important campuses. You can see that the identity from the statistic already sold. And some further statistics, but my focus today is research and innovation. Come to my second question. What is the researcher identity? Do you have any understanding, any perception about research identity? Our early speaker, Professor Umaharan, already shared a very good experience about his research identity. So now, we'd like to elaborate a little bit more. Research identity is a combination of a scholar's professional, digital, and personal characteristics, including their research output, value, and for many, their positionality, okay? It's a dynamic, everything concept that reflects how a researcher perceives themselves on one hand and how they are perceived by others, often develop over time through experience. I highlight develop over time through experience. What does it mean? We cannot simply I created identity, everyone will know you. So I would like to share with you an example. I would like to using this to show my identity. From this slide, you may find my picture, my current position as a leader of the UWI IEM research cluster. I belong to the Department of Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering under the Faculty of Engineering. You may find my research ID. You may find the OID, as well as some information about H-index, I-10 index, as well as my research interests. Those is a kind of so-called research identity can be shared to other people. If you want to know more, find the researcher like me and the research identity. You can go through a number of websites. Those websites tell you the researcher's identity. Like this one, UWI Scholar. Like this one. From this, you may find that I still keeping the national ranking, the first ranking in 2 disciplines, business and management and engineering and technologies. You may find the Google Scholar, find my record as well. Okay, once you build your identity like this one, I just receive it every single week from ResearchGate, telling you how many people read or cite your papers. So come to some basic questions. Who are you? And what is your professional or academic identity? Or simply call it your research identity. What research and research what? Why and how to engage research work and collaboration? Why not publish? Why some lecturers don't write? And what to do about publishing? Then what to do about building your ECRO, early career research identity and repetition. Okay, start from the first question. Who are we or who are you? A researcher at UWI like me, or an early career researcher? Okay, what is your professional academic identity, research identity? You may be aware at UWI, faculty members are traditionally named as a lecturer. Lecturer, we have many professors, but just sharing with you, professor, senior lecturer, all kinds are job title, okay? But the nature of the job as a lecturer. Other positions can be grouped under teaching staff categories, include our instructor, include our demonstrator, include our teaching assistant, research assistant, technician, research student who are receiving studentship or stipend. So continue. Who are you? A lecturer from Free Dictionary tell us a lecturer is someone who lectures professionally. Ask yourself whether you lecture professionally. Enough? Not enough. Another icon telling you a lecturer is one who leads research group and supervise research students as well as teaching. Many faculty members may agree that they are not hired simply for fulfilling the teaching assignment. If you are one of them, then what the others? Not only hire simply for teaching, what others? The fact is that we are not only a university lecturer, university teacher, if you only hire to teach. University teacher already good enough. But why we call us lecturer? Because lecturer who teach what research and research what we teach. This is the way to drive us to become a scholar and a real faculty member, from a ECRO to a lecturer or a top researcher in respective disciplines at the UWI and elsewhere in the academia. So before I continue, we need to have a common understanding the definition of ECRO. In many contexts, ECRO often refer to the scholar at the beginning of their academic career, frequently defined in a number of years since obtaining a PhD. A broader ECRO group appeals to anyone who is close to completing their PhD and contemplating their first job, fellowship, or grant application in academia. Then, what is the identity? What is the belonging as an early career researcher? Here, I would like to share with you 8 things for you to consider. First, choose something that you are passionate about. Second, choose your host lab or research group, research team wisely. Thirdly, apply for any funding that you can get. Start thinking from the first day about obtaining a position. After then, focus all your effort to get it. Fifth, to become an expert in a particular approach that is not common to your field, but very relevant for answering the questions you are interested in. Very important. That can help distinguish you from others. Do not just do your supervisor's work or what your supervisor asks you to do, okay? Networking and communicating is very important. Get out of the lab and let people know who you are. At the moment, we have many different ways allow you to do the networking. Nowadays, social media become a very common means. Other than that, you can think about attending conference in your area, applying to give a talk, and joining different kind of academic professional society in your discipline. That will help. And lastly, and most important, ask yourself, why do I want to be an academic? The answer is very crucial, yes or not. Or would you prefer an alternative career path? Really think about it. So I would like to share with you a cartoon. Have a look. At first, it is, we will try this and we will try that. But when there's a medical breakthrough, guess who take all the credit? What do you think? Is it the researcher? If you believe it's the researcher, that you need to have your mission to get it done, okay? Developing your ECRO profile and skill set is essential as you go through every particular early part of your research journey, whether you are a doctorate student, a practitioner researcher, or a postdoc, or identify any other ways as an early career researcher. Try to get most from the very opportunity available that will help to enhance your professional development. I show you another cartoon I like. It's more a triple blind test. If the patients didn't load, which ones were getting the real jobs? The doctor didn't load. And I'm afraid nobody load. Nobody knew. So what do you think? Okay, come to the next slide. Developing your research identity. Okay, extend your potential with research goals at UWI and beyond. Here is also a slide I normally use, just share the difference between engineer and science. Engineering emphasize on applications. The goal, we try to improve something, but science, goal is truth, less applications. But how about the others? If you browse our university website, you will be aware we have 8 different faculty, including engineering, food and agriculture, humanities, education, law, medical science, science and technology, social science, and sport. I would like to put it here, no matter you come from which faculty, you still need to go through the same procedure, same path from a ECRO to become a top researcher in your areas. So come to my second question. Yeah, apologies, something wrong with my computer. It doing sense. Okay, by the way, here, another question, what research and research what? Actually, both questions are complementary with one another. However, publishing and collaborations are both most common ways that facilitate your research work. So if you do engage in research, graduate supervision, and other related activities, but never bother publishing your work, output, and engage collaborations, do you find that is a very strange? Why? And what's for? Why engage in research and why bother collaboration work? No one can simply claim that I have been conducting scholarly and impactful research, but with no publications, no supervision of graduate work or any other evidence. What would you expect then? Then the health department, the faculty dean, the principals can recognize and appreciate your work. So many UWI staff members really like and want teaching, but do not publish and do not engage in research and collaboration work. The fact is that it's very rare if someone can only teach will get promoted to senior faculty positions. There are many good reasons why don't write, like internal critic, fear of failure, professionalism, so on and so forth. So now move to our another question. What to do about publishing or building your ECRO identities? Here also give you some idea, some general guidelines. Plan objectively of your academic career. Adopt proper publishing tactics. Work collaboratively with your colleagues, your co-workers, as well as your students. Start writing, very important, and then get your work published. Aim for quality publishing, although you may start from quantity, the number first, okay? So where should the ECRO start? If you are looking to develop impactful research as part of your academic identity, where should you start? Just share with you some interesting idea. Understand the why aspect of impact. Make your impact integral to the research process. Thirdly, build meaningful stakeholder relationship. Fourthly, develop an impact literate mindset. That means you need to get used to keep good record every time, all the time. Research like this from the process, but don't forget, at the end, you need to record all your achievement. One way is to get it published. Further, be proactive. Simply do not simply wait until your department, the university take the lead. Sometimes you need to take the lead, okay? Take ownership of your impact journey. Focus on long-term cumulative impact, as well as see impact as part of your academic identity.
Prof.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I see,
let me go to finish here.
Yes.
So how to build your identity with creating a research program. So here's 5 steps. Because time's running out, actually I developed 1 or 2 slides for each step. So I simply will skip those steps, and then we can have more time for discussions. So lastly, before I closing, I would like to share with you some suggestions. Try to register for a free online courses on developing an identity as a researcher. You can simply click to that link. That is the first course. The course about who are you as a researcher. The lesson 1 is develop an identity as a researcher. The website look like this. So spend a little bit time to do it. It's a very good exercise. Another suggestion we would like to share what is the ID, okay? Why need to apply for a free open researcher and contributor ID? That is a good reason. Names are not good enough to ensure credit for your work and are inaccurate for reliably collecting researchers with their research output. So learn more of how the ID identifier can ensure that your publications, your data set, and other research outputs are connected with your name. Very important. Connect with your name every time. Simply click to this website, register your ID, and if you want to know more the importance of this, you can click into another link, learn about Sophia Garcia's stories. Time's running out, I will not play this story again. So to closing, I would like to share with you 3 suggestions. Start career based on a research impact require intention, reflection, and resilience. Try to embrace your identity. Embracing UCL identity can be transformative. That can lead to a more rewarding, influential academic path at UWI. Here is the take-home suggestions. Collectively with the right aspect of your work. Collaborate meaningfully with those beyond the university. Embed impact in your research from the start. Understand, document your contributions with clarity. Embrace impact as part of your scholarly identity. And lastly, go ahead, register for the UWI Scholar. If you haven't done so, just go ahead, free of charge. Become a member of the UWI Scholar right now, and then apply for your free ID as soon as possible. So the last 3 things I would like to share, never lose hope. until it's over, and never calibrate too early, and never left your place before job is over. So that is the end of my presentation. I sorry for the overrun. Pass back to you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor. It's really a very comprehensive presentation. It is not only about how to publish or else, how to establish an identity as an early career researcher, but also how to communicate with the outside academic world. What is our identity? Through various platforms like UWI Scholar or else the ORCID. So you have given a lot of information, Professor. So we are very much grateful and thankful for your presentation. I'm sure that our researchers would appreciate, and they have some questions here. I see already they have posted in the chat, and also I would like our researchers to ask the questions directly to you. And if you want to ask your question, you can raise your hand so that I could see and I could invite you. Before that, I have a question here which was posted there. That was the question. What practical advice would you give to PhD students on how to find postdoc fellowship opportunities after graduation? I see Prof. Uma has shared some insights, but I would appreciate Prof. Poon as well as Prof. Uma could quickly come in and provide some advice, quick advice. Then, we will go to other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sawa. Yes, we need to proactively look for those opportunities. There are plenty of opportunities from overseas university, from USA, from Canada, and even from the UK. Just look for the opportunities. Once they normally open the so-called scholarship or in other names, just try to write your proposal and apply for it. I consider this a learning process. Even though you may not get it once, okay, but the experience will build on how you configure your idea, your research, and present it in a more convincing way. That's
Yeah, thank you,
I
Professor.
would like to suggest simply look for those opportunities. And I myself also share those opportunities via our IEM Research Cluster Network. If you are one of those who are member, you may already receive those information from me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Before Prof. Uma come in, I could also say that I posted something there. You could go to some of the websites where they advertise all the scholarships and opportunities available for the postdoc. That is one thing. Then another thing is, when you have established your research identity, and you will know who are the people working in your field, so you can identify those professors and you can send an email, and even you can visit the university website where they are housed in, and you could see usually some of those opportunities are advised in those websites. Then when you attend the conference, or else when you are in some societies, that's where the professional membership is very important. When you become a developing researcher, you can be a member in American Society or European Society or any of those societies of your discipline, and those societies usually advertise the opportunities available to you. There are many ways and means where you can find postdoc or fellowship opportunities. However, I will ask Prof. Uma again, to give some quick responses. Then we will come to next question that we have here.
Yeah, I think it's very important, I think, to really focus on your area. And when I first got my first doc opportunity, I worked on viruses, resistance to diseases in viruses. And I looked at a lot of researchers around the world who are working on different viruses and so on, right? So when I finished my PhD, I just wrote to a lot of them, indicating that my interest and so on. And I think maybe the third attempt that I wrote, I got a postdoc in Canada to come across. But at the same time, I got the job at UWI, so I didn't want to leave my job to go to the postdoc. So, and then after working for about 4 or 5 years, I went to a postdoc at Scripps Research, right? So again, that was I have met researchers at conferences. I have chatted with them on, and particularly if you are on top of your work, you very often you will find people who share very similar research interests to you. And they very often, and you meet them at conferences, you go to conferences and you will meet them and you'll talk to them. And as Professor Sarah said, there are lots of societies you can become member of, I have been members in particular societies and so on in my discipline. But again, in your discipline, if you have become members of different societies, then you get a lot of postdoc opportunities coming your way. Giving up. And so I think getting a postdoc, people are looking for hardworking people to work in their lab. And when you have a record from your for a PhD with publications, and they see that you are a really hardworking and getting good quality publication, they would want to have you in their lab. So I think as a graduate student, I think that's when you start building your career. And as Professor Poon said, register into the ORCID website and also start publishing, going to conferences, very early researcher. Try to expose yourself and challenge yourself, going to conferences and giving your talk in a much more confident manner. It excites other people. As a young researcher, you are doing well. So getting a postdoc is not very difficult. It's just that you have to keep trying from very early on, even as a graduate student. You closer to completion, you can start looking for postdocs. But I think it gives you tremendous advantage. When you go on a postdoc, you get a new view of research and so on, and interdisciplinary research. And even when you start your early research, you're having collaborations. It's so important, with researchers. Very often you may think that you don't have capabilities at UWI, but you can find other researchers with very open to collaborating with you because you have certain strengths and they have certain strengths, and they can and you can collaborate and achieve a lot more than what you can do yourself here. So all of those builds collaboration between researchers and brings you opportunities as researchers.
Yes, and in addition to what Prof said, right, and even if you use the WhatsApp AI Meta, right,
Yes.
so the AI tool, and if you type it, the employment, the job opportunities, or this PDF, I still, used to do what opportunities I have outside. So just I'm saying, right, to see. And so the advent of AI will give you similar searches. Even, they recommend once, you started searching in your Google, in your phone, right, the browser and or AI tool, then you would have actually, noticed that once you are going to the YouTube and if you search something, then, they will recommend similar searches. So that's what happens with the browser as well. Once you search for the postdoc positions in maybe agriculture or in food science or in engineering or in computer science, and the next time, whatever, opportunities available from the globe, the AI will actually pull out that information and that is actually recommended. And that's what happens with all these smartphones. So you could pursue that one. Then it is not only necessary that the students, those who completed the PhD, should go to the postdoc immediately, but even some of our lecturers, those who have joined the university after a few years and they have an opportunity using the sabbaticals or else, the other leave opportunities or the university collaboration opportunities, wherein they can go to overseas to do the postdoc to refresh their knowledge in the research as well as to establish the collaboration. There are many ways and means by which the postdoc positions can be leveraged for the benefit of the university. I'm also seeing there is another question. How do we leverage our supervisor and committee at UWI to begin developing our research identity? So I'll ask Prof. Uma or Prof. Poon if they have a response. They are asking, how do we make use of our supervisors or the committee to begin developing students' research identity?
Okay, I think the from the student side need to be more proactive. Simply, you cannot simply sit and wait until your supervisor or the member of advisory committee to reach out to you. You take proactive and reach out to them and always volunteer your effort, no matter idea or real word, publishing word, written word, just volunteer yourself. People will see how serious you put to achieve something, and also will see your achievement. If they find that, wow, this is a good idea, they will come to you and work with you. If you find that you are in a not very good direction, your supervisor, your member of your advisory committee also will come to you and telling you, okay, that may not be really work. Think about another direction. So I would like to suggest, as a student or as a first PhD student, or I would like to look for postdoc opportunity, try to reach out, try your best to reach out. At the moment, as I said, there are multimedia that allow you to communicate, to share your real idea. And as I also mentioned, try to attend any outside scholarly activity like attending conference, symposium, and volunteer to talk, to share. I think that's very important. Don't simply simply sit and wait. You can get someone to look after you. And sometimes as a student or an early career researcher, you need to reach out. Basically, not only respond to your supervisor, you need to find way out to supervise your supervisor, how to supervise you. Very important. Take proactive way. Simply don't simply sit and wait.
Thank you, Prof. Kun. And I see that, and I'm also seeing, the other perspective of this question, whether we need to follow what the supervisors have established their research identity as our identity. And I'm seeing that perspective as well from this question. So if that is the case, that is, you have to, determine how that is actually exciting you and how that is relevant and impactful. Then, you could follow the same, or else, what excites you and what is important, and you could establish your own research identity as well. So that's how, the independency comes as well, right? And I'm having another question here. How narrow should your research area be for the research identity? Prof. Uma?
I think you have to be focused in your research, and because to create an identity, you have to be the best in the field that you're working in. So I sometimes call it grazing, you graze and you do different things in different places. You will never make an impact in any area, right? So you find your niche and you be the best in that. But one of my very good advices I get is that, you start with focusing on your area, but then you start collaborating with others and expanding your area as you go. But if you don't have an area that you are very competent in, and nobody is going to collaborate with you because, they want to find somebody who has very good knowledge in your area. So I call grazing, so a lot of the researchers, to get the numbers of publication, they start grazing here and there, and they don't achieve anything, right? Because they are not good at anything. They are good at doing some publications. So I think focus is important, but as you evolve, you have to learn to collaborate with others and so on, and do something bigger than your area of interest, because you cannot really make a total impact just by working in your focused area, right? So that's my advice as based on my experience.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm seeing, yes, Prof. Yes, please.
Yeah, I also have another personal view. Doing research on a topic, not only you doing it, even though in the same university, there are many other colleagues also doing similar research on similar area. And don't forget, not only UWI, there are so many different other universities overseas. Many people already engaged in doing something. So publishing is very important. Try to get things published, even though the idea may be quite preliminary. Just try to work things out, work with your good supervisor, work with your colleague in your department, get things published. Because other people, when they refer some methodology, something, process, they will refer, trace back who say this first. Even though yours may be the perfect one, but at the moment you already published that one, people will start citing things from your work, even though your work is not so perfect. But you are continue working on the area. As I said in my presentation, do not always follow, only do whatever the supervisor's word or the supervisor asks you to do. Think about something belongs to you. Something belongs to you. You will be more comfortable to work with and find that one can distinguish your competence, your ability from any other people, even within your research group, within your department, as well as other people outside. Find something niche and go ahead to develop it as your identity. Other people, when they refer this kind of research, they will think about you. They will cite your work. You will become sooner and later an expert in that area. That's what I would like to share.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. So with respect to graduate students, right, and when you have something different from the supervisors, I would advise that you could have an open discussion with them, and have a rational, argument with them, and convince them whatever, you would like to do, because it should be a two-way process. It is not that, we are just going against the supervisor, but again, the supervisors, they are also academicians, and they should be open. That's what we encourage them as well, to have open conversation and dialogue with the students. And therefore, to me, supervisor is a learner. Should be a learner, right? It is not that, the supervisor should have the attitude that you have to do whatever I say, but I learn many things from my students. So it should be a two-way process, because we have here the students as well as the supervisors. Then I'm seeing another question, right? In instances where early researchers are presented with several opportunities, that might be hard for an early career researcher to refuse. Like they may be asked to serve in joining committees or else in some collaborations and etc. So in that case, they are asking, what advice do you have for early career researchers to help discern what options are best or not? Whether they have to join whatever opportunities come along their way, or else they have to, how they decide. Yes,
Let's start first. I would like to say that depends on the time. If you can manage, try to engage in all this kind of activity. Know more people, because this allow you to reach out, allow people to know you also. If you are joining those committee, society, you will be in a better position than many other ordinary member, because you know something faster than the other people internally. And then you also have the chance to represent the society, the professional group or committee to say something, represent something. Bear keep in mind, time is very important, very challenging. Okay, you need to have a very good time management. However, I would say that in your early career development, simply try your best to contribute. People like you, like your effort, like everyone you put forward, you do. People will not say negative about you, because you commit yourself. It's a kind of commitment. People like this kind of attitude. If they have opportunity, they would like, most of them will think about you first than the other people, other candidates, because they know you a bit better than the others by viewing your appearance on those activities, by viewing on your volunteer, your time and effort to do and anything else. Everything will be taken into account.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Prof. Uma, quickly.
Yeah, I think the question was about whether, you have several opportunities as an early researcher, and which ones you should do. I think joining committees or whether collaborations, well, I think you have to look at what is your passion, right? I would say collaborations, at the earliest you really start collaborating with others and learning perspectives of research from different people. I think it accentuates the rate at which you really grow, right? So I would say that, as early as possible, instead of, I know the university would like you to join committees and contribute, which is important. But at the same time, I don't think you should miss out on opportunities for collaborations with fellow researchers, either in your department or outside your department, who can help you to further your passion in your research. So building that passion and following your heart is really what is important as an early researcher.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. And I'm seeing the last question. Probably I'll take that question, right? So does the UWI have a platform where its researchers share information like they are looking for fellow researchers to collaborate with, and what background of those researchers they need projects they are working on, like an internal system for posting their research collaboration needs? We have UWI Scholar, right? That's what presented by Prof. Pun. That is the internal platform developed from the university to have that type of collaboration among our researchers, both students as well as the staff. But if you ask me how extended we have used that system, though I'm in the administration, but I would say it is actually the engagement of all the staff as well as the students. So there are some information by some staff members. We have put all our information there. But at the same time, if you ask me, has that been 100% used by the researchers, including both staff and students? Is not, right? So that's why we have used that platform to submit the campus research and publication fund, as well as the research ethics, so that the students as well as the staff, they are aware of such system available in the UWI system. So that is one system which we could leverage on, and of course it is the engagement of the staff and students to make use of that system 100%. That is one thing. Then with respect to the research positions, that is again the UWI vacancies, sometimes when it comes through the projects or through the graduate studies and research websites where scholarship opportunities available. And from time to time, we share information as well with everyone to be aware what opportunities available either from UWI or from other universities, right? So that's how we work. And I think we have almost answered all questions, and now we have come to the end of this panel discussion. I would like to sincerely thank Prof. Uma and Prof. Pun for their excellent presentation as well as insights shared with all our participants. Of course, our participants, I'm so much grateful and thankful for your time and for your joining in this panel discussion. Without you, then there's nothing going to happen here with this panel discussion, and of course the sharing of the professors' perspectives. Therefore, I'm thankful to all of you, and of course we have 2 more sessions for this academic year under the Professorial Mentorship Caucus. Therefore, I would encourage you to join as well as share that information with all your peers, maybe as staff or students, because these type of discussions will enrich both staff as well as the students. With this, I thank every one of you for your support, including marketing and communications, as well as from my office. With that, I would like to conclude this session. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.